good enough? You may. All right. Don't worry. All right. So, my fellow students, colleagues, staff, and friends, we're all gathered here listening intently because we truly want to know that if targeting efforts at the beginning of the school year is the best and most effective way to transition a cohort of students. Now, I'm here to assure you that the transition program at the beginning of the school year is obviously the best and most effective way to transition a group of students. And in order to basically break this down a little bit, Webster's Dictionary basically defined the word transition as the act of passing from one state or place to the next. So when students complete a grade, they go to a new one. Therefore, in order for anything to be even considered a transition program, it has to be at the beginning of the year. Now, firstly, basically, people want to know more about the upcoming year when the year starts. That's why colleges have, annual orientations. And this is when encouraging and motivating students is most effective. And it's more effective to encourage the student at the beginning of the year rather than in the middle or the end, or even not at all. Secondly, transition program is great for social development because social development is a major reason why students decide to either stay in school or drop out. So if a student has a comfortable, social environment, they're more likely to stay in school. Lastly, if this program is implemented in the beginning of the year, there will be an easy way to evaluate the program as a whole. So it won't interfere with, academics, extracurricular activities, or even personal life, throughout the year. And if the program was any longer, it could be disruptive. And if there's no program, it could be detrimental to the students' lives. Therefore, we believe that at the beginning of the year is the best time to have a transition program.
Walking into my high school on the very first day, I had a collection of different emotions. I was a blend of being eager, anxious, curious, and afraid too. Like many people who enter high school for the first time, I didn't know what to expect. But being a student in the Pittsburgh Public School District, this should not be the case. About 4 years ago, the Pittsburgh Public Schools made an attempt to alleviate all of those first day jitters that most ninth graders seem to get. The effort has come to be known as the Ninth Grade Nation. The Ninth Grade Nation is the middle of the high school transitioning program that provides a smooth transition from the 8th to 9th grade to help people get acquainted. The Ninth Grade Nation spans from the first day of school and it ends at the end of the year. However, in reality, the program begins on the first day of school and generally ends the following week. In general, transitioning programs are wonderful, but become ineffective if compressed into a brief period of time. Middle of the high school transitioning programs should model that of college level transitioning programs, being that they begin prior to the big transition and last continually throughout it in years to come. Ninth Grade Nation is actually quite deceiving. Events planned within the program are often not done. It is displayed on their website that they have many events, but simply are not done. There is also not district-wide awareness of the events that they have planned. The program is not accessible. The students are serviced by this program instead of being serviced by it. They are uninformed and unaware. I, like many other students in my district, were uninformed of what they present. Preparing both socially and academically for high school is imperative to becoming a successful student there. But usually these programs do not do them very well. These programs can be helpful, but they need to be executed in a manner that is actually helpful to the student. We propose that transitioning programs begin before the transition actually occurs, not on the day that it does.
Like any sensible doctor would tell you, prevention is better than treatment. If you wish to target the efforts of transition programs, it is best to begin at the start of the school year because you can cut off those particular issues that are involved with transitioning from a grade to another at their inception, rather than try to cut them off after they have occurred. as you stated, ninth grade nation is actually implemented for 2 weeks. But you have to give a substantial reason as to why it is less effective than a whole school year. And I will give a reason why that actually could be more effective than a whole school year. If we want to control the quality of ninth grade nation, it is much easier to do so in 2 weeks as opposed to a whole school year. It is tougher, it takes more resources for evaluators, for teachers, for students, and for anybody else to see whether it is effective over a whole school year. And finally, the prompt that's posed today is talking about helping transition from the perspective of a school district. Now, a school district should not coerce transition, it should not implement transition, it should facilitate transition. You can thank him now for that. But, as I continue, a school district should facilitate the transition. Therefore, a school district's hands should not be deep in the transitioning itself. By being part of transitioning throughout the year, the school district interferes and puts its fingers really deep into the process. Therefore, I argue that facilitation programs should be at the start of the school year and no longer.
As my friend Tosin did just wonderfully describe, prevention is better than treatment. However, what he missed in our initial statement was that we did not say that that programs of transition should just go throughout the entire year, but rather start before the transition starts. The problem with transitions does not begin at the beginning of a new school year. It begins before the new school year even starts. Research shows that the problem between transitions is not a problem solely of transitioning between junior high and high school, but rather a transition between institutions. The transition from elementary school to middle school is just as difficult if students are transferring between buildings with different expectations. And that is the main problem with the transition from junior high to high school. It's different. There are different expectations, there are different rules, guidelines, and a different social situation. We argue instead that those 8th graders, before going into their 9th grade year, should be prepared for what they should expect in high school. And that is the critical piece that programs like 9th grade nation miss. There are too many there's too much data for students to have to think about for that to only happen within the first 2 weeks of school. They're in a new situation. They've never seen these teachers before. They've never seen these other students before. When they should be taught what they should expect in high school is when they're with their friends that they already have in 8th grade. When they're with comfortable teachers and they feel comfortable asking the questions that they want to ask, and not when they're uncomfortable and just starting a new year.
If you are trying to help students transition from one place to another, I don't understand how keeping them with the friends that they already know is going to help them in the next transition spot, because you're no longer going to be with them 9 times out of 10. So why does it matter if they're going to be with them or not? When 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be with them in point B. So we firmly believe that the best way for school districts to help cohorts of students in transition between grades is to target their efforts with programs at the start of the new year. Because if you do it all year round, basically you might waste money. People might not want to participate in the program anymore. Like personally, I've been in a program Upper Bound, which is all year round, and it costs us a lot of money, and they've been shut down several times because of the money that they haven't had. And
thank you for that. You know, a wise person once said, look before you leave. Look before you leave. I am looking. How can I be prepared for a transition into high school if I haven't looked already when I'm in middle school? 2 weeks. You said 9th grade nation prepares you 2 weeks before high school. Is 2 weeks enough time?
no.
When I don't know, sing it. I don't know the layout of the building, whether the classes are going to be difficult, who the teachers are going going to be? I don't know any of this. I need preparation in 7th grade, in 6th grade. I need to know what's coming in high school. A joint position paper adopted by the National Middle School Association says, and I quote, "Successful transition programs recognize that becoming comfortable in a new school setting is an ongoing process, not a single event." And that is the point that I want to leave you with tonight. Transition is a process that has to start early, has to engage the students, has to prepare them for where they're going. It cannot happen at the beginning of high school.